All right, guys, so now I am going to talk to you about the elimination method. The elimination method, you want to write this down, that it is when you add two equations together so that one variable gets eliminated, okay? So what happens is you have two equations. When those two equations are lined up, for example, if I had 2x plus 3y equals 7 and 2x plus 6y equals 8. When I say lined up, that means your x's are lined up, your y's are lined up, your equal signs are lined up, your constants are lined up. That has to be the case in order to use this elimination method. Because all you're going to end up doing after you have everything lined up is take the two equations and literally do old school math of just adding things straight down the line. So let's go ahead, let's practice this with a few examples. So first thing that I look for is that everything is lined up. That's how I can automatically know I can use elimination, is if my x's are lined up, my y's are lined up, my equal signs are lined up, and my constants are lined up. If I check that off, that they're all lined up, then I can go ahead and actually start adding. I can go back to elementary addition, where I'm just going to go ahead and now take my x's. I have a 1x, I got a 2x, they add up to give me 3x. I have a positive 1y, I have a negative 1y, that's going to give me 0y. When it gives me 0y, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not even going to write it down here. I can, but I don't need to. My equal signs, those need to come down. And 9 plus 6, that's going to give me 15. Notice in the end, when you eliminate, one letter is gone. That's the point of elimination, is to eliminate one letter. So it's easy for you to be able to solve for that one letter. Because now all you have to do is divide both sides by 3, and you get x equals 5. Now that you know your x, this becomes now similar to substitution, where you're going to have to take that x equals 5 and put it back into one of these two equations. And it does not matter which of the two equations you pick. Pick your favorite, plug it back in, substitute it back in, and see what you get for your y. So I'm going to pick this first equation. X plus y equals 9. I'm going to substitute x to be 5 plus y equals 9. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, and I'm going to get y equals 4. And then, just like all the other methods, I have to write my final answer as a solution, as a coordinate, which is 5, 4. So that right there, everybody, is the elimination method. Pause the video, make sure you got every step. If you didn't, rewind it and re-listen to this over again to make sure you figure out how to do each step on this. All right, let's go ahead. Let's try another one here together. I got negative 2x plus 3y equals 8. 2x minus y equals 5. Again, I'm solving this system to find the solution. If I'm going to use elimination like they want, my x's have to be lined up, my y's have to be lined up, my equal signs, they have to be lined up, and my constants have to be lined up. Check, I'm good on that. So now I can go ahead and do my old school addition. Negative 2x plus 2x, those cancel out. That's my variable that cancels. 3y and negative y. Combine those together, 3 and minus 1, that's going to give me 2y. I need my equal sign. 8 plus 5, that's going to give me 13. Now I have one letter, meaning I did do elimination correct. That right there tells me that I did do this most likely correctly. So now I can go ahead and divide by 2, and I'm going to get y equals 13 over 2. If you want to get the decimal, that is perfectly fine, but I'm just going to leave it as the fraction. Again, I pick whichever equation I feel that's easier for me. It doesn't matter which one you end up picking though. Both of them will work. I'm going to go ahead and go with this second equation here. I'm going to go with 2x minus y equals 5. And instead of having y, I'm going to substitute in that 13 over 2. So 2x minus 13 over 2 equals 5. I'm going to go ahead and add 13 over 2 to both sides. And I'm going to get 2x equals. I'm going to go ahead and add this into my calculator. So 5 plus 13 over 2 should give me 23 over 2. Next step is to divide both my fraction and my 2x by the number next to x, which is 2, and that's going to give me x equals, again, I want to go ahead and put this into my calculator and see what it gives me. 23 over 2 divided by 2 is going to give me 23 over 4. So then my final answer is 23 over 4, comma, 13 over 2. Okay, so I know that was a lot of fractions, but again, if you use the decimals, that's fine. Just make sure that your decimals match up to my fractions, okay? But it ends up being 23 over 4, 13 over 2, or whatever their associated decimals are. Okay, pause the video. I want you to try this one here on your own, see what you get. All right, so let's go ahead and resume and go ahead and go over this. When I eliminate, my x's have to be lined up, which they are. My y's have to be lined up, which they are. My equal sign must be lined up, which they are. And my constants have to be lined up, which they are. Since that's the case, I can go ahead and go down the line and start doing my old school addition. 147x minus 147x cancels out because that gives me 0x. Negative y plus 2y, that is going to give me 1y equals 294 minus 294, which is 0. This is a case where you want to make sure you write down that 0. You don't have to write down the 0x, but when the constants cancel out, you do want to write that 0. Because here, what ends up happening is you're going to get a y equal to 0. And now we're going to use that number to go ahead and get our other answer. So again, you can pick any equation that you want. I'm going to go ahead and pick the top equation. 147x minus y equals 294. So 147x minus 0 equals 294. That 0, if I add it over, is still going to give me 147x equals 294. I then divide everything by 147. And that's going to give me x equals 2. So then my final answer is 2, 0. Now, if you wanted to verify to make sure that you actually did do this correctly, you could take this x value and this y value, and just like what we talked about last week, put both of those into both equations. If you get a true statement for the first equation and a true statement for the second equation, that means you did it correctly. But if you don't, that means you did not do something correctly. You need to go back and take a look at your work to make sure you did it right. All right, guys, so that is it for today. There is a check for understanding. Make sure that you go work on that. This is a new start to the 6 weeks, so let's start out strong with everybody making sure you do your check for understanding for today. Have a great rest of your day. If you have questions, please email me and let me know, or come to tutorials today. See you guys tomorrow.